Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hi, ladies.
Hey, Keon.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm in the kitchen. My kitchen is looking crazy, so I've turned off the camera.
Whatever.
It's all good. Trust me, I know that feeling.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, you don't want to see mine. There's a reason why I sit in this corner. I tend to find a corner for sure.
Is that a blanket, Omi? It is.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
so fluffy.
It is. I just love it. My little pink blanket.
Nice.
Yeah. I've never washed it. I don't really do anything in it either, though, right? But it's only one
Great
side.
decor.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just a little something I like to lay around in it if I'm not feeling good. It makes me feel good. So let me add this into the group. How's y'all's weeks going?
It's going.
Going.
And I emailed you that video.
Oh, did you?
Yes. It's like 2 parts to it. I don't know if it's good, but
You're so sweet. Thank you.
no problem.
Keon, why am I stuttering? Yeah, did a coaching call. What was that, Monday?
Yes, it was that.
Yeah.
If you haven't done a coaching call, I highly suggest signing up.
Coaching call. What is that?
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to post about it because I don't really, just as I do with everything, I'm not the best at marketing anything, but I do take time out of my schedule to talk about, have deep dives and talk about whatever is going on with making decisions. So, if it's a vendor fee thing or even working through the websites or trying to figure out your guest list, if you're ever trying to get deep, which Keon, clearly you're yeah, okay. So in your case, maybe something once you're ready for vacation or something, trying to figure out where or what's up and that kind of stuff.
I'm so ready for vacation.
I know, right?
Oh God,
all the
I'm
deep
ready.
dives. Nancy, do you mind me at the end answering your question? Well, clearly I won't answer it as deeply, but bringing that up in the group, I think it'd be really helpful. But
Okay,
you all right with that?
no problem.
Thank you.
This only thing I have to jump off at 7. I have a Delta call, so I got to jump off at 7.
No
so
problem.
Just
I should be. Yeah, no problem. Look, one day I'm gonna actually end at 7, but it hasn't happened yet. So
that's because you're so good and you always come up with such great information. You can't just stop.
Well, thank you. The funny thing is, my husband Jay's always it's just like your normal happy hour. You say you're going to happy hour with your girls, you don't. It's not an hour. You don't know how to happy hour. I'm like, okay.
It's been fun.
It has.
Well, good. Well, thank you. I'm actually going to start because of I'm bringing the season 3 back. I'm about to start with interviewing and dealing with pros and sponsors and all this stuff. So I'm about to go monthly with this actually. So this will be the last. This wasn't even this I guess you can consider it bi-weekly, but it's easier just to have the plan instead of pushing and rescheduling, just to say I'm just gonna go monthly for a while. So I can get these episodes rolling to y'all. So
Sounds good.
that's happening.
So you want me to later pose the question again about the vendor fee?
I mean, you can if you want. If I forget, but I have it here as well. Let me see. Why is this camera here? Probably doing something that looks very, very weird. How is that? Y'all see that? And I think I should be live in the group any minute now. Let's see. Let's do this one day. I have it. What do you ladies have going on?
Right now?
Are you at work, Nancy? Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
I'm
you're at
about
work.
to leave. I was about to say I'm about to put you guys on mute because I am about to go to my car and then I will hear you guys in the car.
We already know how you roll with that.
Yes, you already know.
Keon, are you quarantining? Are you quarantining?
I am. Well, I've been at home since I work at an elementary school. I'm a speech pathologist.
Oh, that's my next question. So
Yeah, so I've been in the house since March. So yeah,
yeah, well, good. Do you live alone?
I do. I
So
do.
how is that?
Living
Yeah.
alone?
Yeah, like how, I mean, clearly that's not a thing for us. So we're quarantined together, which has it's got many pros and it's got the slight, you know,
Some
I'm not
cons.
gonna call it a con, but it has its challenges as well.
You know, I grew up as an only child, so I've enjoyed the solitude, but my mom lives close, so I do a lot of running around for her. And so
Okay.
that gets me out the house because she's not trying to be in these streets. She's like, you go. Okay, thanks, Mom.
Right. Yes. Okay. Well, I understand. Well, that's good. Well, good. Okay. All right. So I am live in the Facebook group. I can see a couple of you guys. I think I'm going to try my best to get this right. So hi, hey. I'll be kind of hitting back and forth this way to make sure that everything looks right and works right. Hey, Desti's and Bridefriends in the Facebook group. This over here is the Zoom. So if you're interested, feel free to click the link in there. Dusty Lover is the password and you can come in here. You won't be able to hear your bride friends. I'm going to do my normal spiel as usual. So I'll be talking and you can do all that. But I will be sure to post the replay as well, so that way you can still see if you want to rewatch this. I'll post that into the comments. I do want to show you guys what I've been working on too. So I'm not going to hold you long. We are going to talk about reception tips aplenty, and I've got them all, the how to party. I really love to host just in general, and your reception is like the ultimate event to host. So I'm really, really excited to be able to just kind of give my tips that will work whenever we're able to host parties again, especially the big one. So yes, I've got, oh, hi, Michelle.
I figured you wouldn't recognize the name.
I'm like, no, that looks like Nicole. That looks like Nicole.
All of my family call me Michelle. So we do our monthly Zooms. And so whenever I log in as Nicole, they're like, Nicole, who in the world is Nicole? So I changed it.
Hi, Michelle, but I look
like
everybody's like, dang, she look like Nicole. We have a just like Nicole.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, it's been so long. How are you?
I am trying to hang in there, trying to still remain excited and not so down about COVID, but this whole thing is just a mess.
Yeah, so what did we decide with your date? What are we doing?
It has been postponed until June of next year.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that. So,
yeah.
I mean, not nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. We have a date still.
Yes, there's a date. There's an ending to the rainbow. It's gonna happen. So good. I'm glad. And we're still doing St. Lucia, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I've actually got some St. Lucia pros that I'm in communications with, so I'll have some stuff on season 3 going on. So good. So welcome. I got distracted, y'all. Y'all know how I do. I got excited. I saw someone who looked like Nicole named Michelle too, so it was a little weird, but thought I was being catfished. But anyway, okay. So just for a quick announcement to let you guys know, well, clearly you guys know that Shop Desti is open. So I will be actually shipping out the first shipments soon. It was this big crow that just went by. This is too much. It's Distraction City. But I'm creating a promo code for Desti lovers specifically. So it'll be a lifetime thing. If you didn't get to take advantage of the 25% off, you still will. It won't be 25% off. It'll be probably somewhere around like 10, 15, something like that. So keep your eye out for that. I'll let you guys know. What I've done is opened this up. Now the ceremony Destihour that we did, Facebook, as soon as it was done, they took it down and just permanently deleted it. And it hurt my soul. People talk about like why you should always have a backup plan when you're doing these sorts of things. And I did. So luckily, like, you know, we did this through Zoom. So I do have that recording, and that will go live actually tomorrow. I also have, this actually is our 13th Destihour. It's so crazy to know that there's 13 of them. So this is our 13th one. The other 12, I've uploaded them into a private playlist on the YouTube Desti TV channel. So I created this site. I created a little portal kind of in the Destiland site that if you ever want to watch the replays and you don't want to watch them on Facebook, like I know you guys, when you're watching Desti TV, some of you guys are talking about how you're going to, or how you watch them like literally on your television, or you just kind of put them up on your computer or your phone, or you're just used to YouTube. You can now do that as well. So I will drop that link for you guys to be able to do that, but I'm really excited. And it also gives the opportunity to have the connection to any of the bride friends who are not on Facebook. I was getting messages like, hey, I would really love to be a part of it. I feel like I'm missing out, you know, but I'm just not on Facebook, especially in this current climate with the way that Facebook's moving. A lot of people aren't playing with Facebook. So I'm making it to where Zoom calls will always be a thing. I'll play with it. Please give me feedback if you've ever got any things, or, you know, I'm working through this and just trying to figure it out. So don't be shy. Let me know, you know, do this instead, don't do that. Or, you know, I can't do everything that y'all tell me, but I always have an open suggestion box. So I'm excited about that. I wonder if I can show you. You know what I was trying to do? I haven't shared the screen in so long, y'all. Let's see if this is even possible and how possible it is. Here's my question. It looks like, see, I'm trying to get too tech savvy right now. Doing too much, wasting time. Okay, hold on. Still gonna try it though. No, I'm not. I'll drop the links or maybe even do a little something, but it exists. It's pretty, and because I like to make stuff pretty, but every single post that we've had, I've got the videos. So you can always rewatch them. So yay. Now, the other thing is this will be, yeah, you guys have probably noticed that I've like had to reschedule the Desti hours here and there, and there's a lot of things going on in the background. Season 3 is close, and I'm opening up, and I'm about to start interviewing more just to make sure that I have the full season together before I put it out. So that being said, my schedule is a little bit crazier than usual. I'm dealing with, you know, all the stuff that goes on with putting the show together. So that being said, I'm going to step back from Desti hours a little bit, not step back, but pull the gas off a little bit. So I will be doing monthly themes, and so you guys will see that. And that'll just be while this is going on, you know, probably resume in between or figure out how this will go. But in the meantime, you guys will have plenty of podcast episodes. You've got Desti hours because we've got a backlog, which is great right now. And yes, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me. And I'm so excited that season 3 is going to be, like, I feel like I really got this going and I really understand this and I get you guys and what you guys want and what you need. So I'm really, really, really excited about this. Before now, I've just been winging it and going through what I think you would like and what I think you guys would need. But since I've been communicating with you guys so much more, I feel really, really excited about what's going to happen with the show. So that was my spiel. Now we are going to talk about reception tips. If you ever have any questions, of course, drop them in the chat in Zoom and in the comments in Facebook. And I've got all of this going and I'll do my best. You guys know I talk and then I'll check and then I'll see. Jasmine says, I'll have to hop off and watch later, catching a flight, but as always, can't wait for all your I need to know where you're going. So make sure you let us know and be safe, but you've probably already jumped off, but yes. So yes, I love hosting, and I've said this already, but this is the ultimate way of hosting. It's your, well, is that even true? It is for the moment. It is for now. So, what I think, okay, so I have my normal little tips in my sections. So when it comes to your reception, this is where you really, really, really find out who is, you really get into your guest list. If your guest list ever matters, it matters at this point. So when you are thinking of your guest list, if it's not too late, which a lot of you guys have already invited people, but maybe if you're going smaller, then, thinking about the weeding out process, or just if you're brand new and you haven't even sent out invitations, either way, when it comes down to your reception, this is the time when your guests can make or break your reception. They can make the wedding is the reception. I mean, the ceremony is the big part, of course, but people are coming for the fun. They're coming for the celebration after. They're coming for it all, but y'all know what I'm saying. Like, this is the good stuff. And it really, you can do all of the things, but if your guest list is a bit shady or shoddy, then it can just create some issues. So I'm always talking about having these plan Bs and these plan Cs. So just understand your guest list and know we're going to talk about seating charts. We're going to talk about, of course, money. We're going to talk about, look, I've got a list. Timing, decor, food, drinks, of course, drama. I put food twice, so I really want to talk about food, apparently. Entertainment, vendors, and everything that goes on with them. So when it comes to your guests, like, this is where you inviting a ton of people and then thinking that they may not come, and then if they do come, the reception is kind of where that will hit the hardest. Your ceremony doesn't necessarily matter because it's just a couple of seats for people, right? But every single guest is a chair, a plate, a fork, a knife, a drinker, a glass, but literally a person who's drinking as well, an appetizer, an entree, a place card, a napkin. It's like each of these people, like I talk about when you're really thinking about your money and your budget, like just knowing that each person, or when you're trying to weed out your guest list, I think it was Candace Coppola from Jubilee Events. She did the episode and she was talking about how you need to think about, would you treat these people, like when you're thinking of your guest list, would I treat them to $100-$200 dinner? Because that's what you're doing. Like, so thinking about it that way, because that's the reality of this. These people, like, it's a dessert, an entree, a table setting, a glass, a this, a that. Like, this is where just your guest list really becomes highlighted. And a lot of brides, or just really a lot of couples in general, if there's ever any friction that exists, it can kind of come at this time. So paying attention to how many people is important, because there's so much that goes into it. And if you don't know what goes into it, we are going to talk about that. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that you know what to expect, as usual. But it really does hinge on who you're inviting. But there are ways of working around. There's certain people that you know are going to be a problem, and we can still work around that too. So you got to invite some people anyway, like your uncle, your auntie, or whoever that you know is trouble. You have to do it anyway. So starting off with, oh, hi, Danielle. Oh, so excited. I'm sorry. Hey, you should join the Zoom call. Oh, okay. So for timing, I did receive the question as to can I share my timetable? And the answer is yes, I definitely can. I will pull that up as soon as I will figure out how to do it. But just for the sake of running through really quickly so that you know what goes into the timing, I'll just do a quick rundown. So photos started at 3. So this is pre-reception clearly. So photos started at 3, the getting ready photos. And then the guest shuttles came at 4:30, 5 o'clock, they arrived. Getting ready photos ended at 5:15, the DJ starts. So this is where it gets a little funny. The ceremony was to start at 5:30. The ceremony ended at 6. Photos with guests begin, cocktail hour starts. Bride and groom photos began at 6:20. At 7, the cocktail hour ended. Guests moved to reception area. So I'm going to share this because I'm crazy about my spreadsheets, but it's really important to make sure that you know what's supposed to happen when. Doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly at that time, no, but if you put it out, you'll have a really good idea as to what's going where. So once we got into the reception, sunset, you look to see when sunset was. It was to be around 7:20. At 7:30, the couple's photos ended, and then it's time for we did a first dance, and then the father-daughter dance. And then you want to do dinner. Dinner was at 8:30. And then you give an hour. So the idea of some people doing toasts, we chose not to do toast, but this would be the time to do that. Now, you don't want to open up your dance floor. Consider not opening up your dance floor until dinner is finished. And I say that because there's a lot of moving pieces with the food, and to help the service team out, you want to make sure that people are sitting down. And I've been to weddings and I've seen and heard all types of things where the wedding has opened up the dance floor immediately, and then it's harder to rally your guests back up, rally them together to go and sit down to have dinner again. Once they start dancing and partying, they don't want to do anything else. But you've got toast that you want to do. You want to take time to thank your guests. If you're going to do the garter and bouquet toss, then this will be the time, later on. So we said dancing starts at 9:15, and then at 10:15, the garter and bouquet toss. Then at 10:45, we actually, and this was a really good tip, but what we did was we took time to step away from our reception, and we took photos. So any photos that you've seen on the Black Dusty blog or just in general that are in the dark is that time. It was pitch black out there, and Shenko Photography, I don't know how they were able to do it. I didn't know what the photos would look like, but they actually took the time to take additional pictures. So we were able to step back, see our friends dancing on the dance floor, just have a good time, have some one-on-one, and just really take in what you've done. So yes. And then the photos ended at 11. So remember, they started at 3, they end at 11. And then we had a midnight meal. We had at midnight, last call at 1, DJ ended at 1:15, and at 1:30 the shuttles left. So our guests were with us from basically 4 to 2 a.m. They really were. So we had to feed them, and in that time, I just wanted to go through that full timeline to let you know how much we kind of packed into it. If your guests are going to be with you, now in this case, a lot of you, that's because we were off resort, so they were stuck with us. But if you're on the resort, then things will be a little bit different because people can kind of tip away if they want to. But the idea, and then your timing could be different too. I don't know, not many resorts, some of the smaller ones will let you do it, but have such a long span of time, and it's not necessarily ideal to have them there that long. But we had our guests there that long and they still had a great time. And this is how. So, like I said, I'm going to share the spreadsheet. Now, for starters, with thinking of money and your timing, you want to overlap your photographer and your DJ. So this is something to pay attention to when you're considering the packages that you're going to offer. Now, I'm going to talk about packages and all of that stuff. That'll be coming up soon. But for our case, we had our photographers for 8 hours and we had our DJ for 8 hours. And they clearly were not the same 8 hours. They staggered. So the photographers came at 3. They were a 3 to 11 shift, basically. And that was because we wanted to do getting ready photos and then keep them through everything. And then they were able to kind of tip off and leave. They ended up staying a little bit longer too. And I've seen that a lot. Sometimes that, they're having a great time. If you're taking good care of them, they stay, you may catch a little bit more. Now for the DJ, clearly we don't need the DJ that early. We needed the DJ to be there before the ceremony starts for mic check and all of that. So you do have to pay them for that part. So we did 5:15 to 1:15 is what we did there. And I ended up finding out that they did come earlier just to make sure that they could set up as well. So just understanding and knowing that everybody's not going to come at the same time. So putting your full timetable together and then making sure that you fill in the gaps and then you go, well, where do we want the DJ? Where do we want the photographer? And this goes with everything. Like even if you're having a regular party, you want to know and understand when you want the food to arrive, when you want, like just, it's a balancing act of making sure everybody's not there at the exact same time because everybody doesn't need to be, and that could be a total waste of your money. I've seen people who have not listened and decided just to say, oh, everybody for everything. And then you're upset when people are like not doing anything. Well, there's nothing for them to do, but you're paying them because that's their time. So that's my spiel on that one. As far as decor goes, which is where we will, any questions? If you have any questions, you guys know to drop them in. Let me look. Okay, let me go right. I don't need to see that. Sorry. It's in my own face. It doesn't matter because I don't need to see myself. So for decor, your decor is your decor, right? So it's just more of understanding when it comes to your reception, you just want to make sure that the packages that you get, if you're getting married on a resort or just anywhere that you are, you want to make sure that you understand completely how the service or the product or whatever they're providing works. Are they just providing tablecloths and not putting them on? That's a thing. Are they gonna provide, like there's setup fees that are included in things. So like say for our florals was one thing, but setup was one thing. And then takedown is another thing too, because somebody has to do these things. You don't want to be the bride that is breaking down your wedding in tears because it exists and it happens because you didn't think about it and it's extra money. Now it's usually up to the professional you would think that they would build that in, but you just want to make sure, like just double, triple check and make sure that you understand fully how things go. I received the question asking me what went wrong. So outside of anything that you may have read on the Black Dusty blog, because things went wrong. Not terribly though, it wasn't terrible stuff, but specifically in this case for decor, we were being cheap, and I did talk about this already on another Dusty Hour. But the one place we were just kind of, I don't know, go back and forth with was for lighting. So we ended up having these string lights, and there was the company who had like the globes. We had the luminary bulbs, and I'll drop pictures too. But we had these bulbs, and we were really excited about those, but we wanted the lighting. And the guy who had the bulbs, we'll call them, had lighting, but his lighting was more expensive. So we went with another person for their lighting, and their lighting, we didn't find out until the Thursday before, like Thursday, that, or maybe we found that out maybe right before. Either way, we ended up finding out very late that it was cheaper because they don't hang them. Why do I need string lights that aren't hung? Who's supposed to hang them? Like, it doesn't make sense, but you still just want to make sure. You would assume that you're okay, but don't make any assumptions in this space. So don't be like us in this specific part. And please, just if you're purchasing anything, and that includes like people with a dance floor, if someone's just offering a dance floor and they're not putting it together or they're breaking it down as extra, just understand all of the pricing across the board before you actually make a decision, because you don't want to play yourself. Now, ways to save money, and there's little things. So the reception specifically, you're gonna need, you have to tell people where they're sitting. You got to do that somehow. So there's a lot of fun, interesting ways to do on Pinterest. I'm not going to play Pinterest right now. You guys know there's all types of inspiration ways to do it. But consider, if you're trying to save money, then the idea of having anything individual will cost more. If you could just have one sign or two signs, like in our case, we had like two signs that said table 1 and table 2, and we lined people up. We labeled them according to their last name. So that way you can kind of see it. And it was a nice script. I'll drop pictures of that too. And that was the seating signage. I've seen some of everything. Now, when you're traveling, I've seen these massive posters and it's got it all, it's this beautiful thing and all of that kind of stuff. You clearly can't travel with it. So you just want to make sure that, again, the delivery, the breakdown, all of that kind of stuff is taken care of, because the resort will not be happy if you got some extra stuff that their staff is going to have to deal with. And the same thing goes with your venue if you're somewhere else. Just make sure that you're not leaving that on your venue or wherever, because you've got deposits, you've got money that you need to get back. And if your vendor or anything that you're adding extra doesn't do the right thing, then that's not the resort's fault or the venue's fault, that's your fault. And it will come back to you. Menu cards, we ended up you have to tell people what they're eating. So you tell people what they're eating. There's different types of little signage. So instead of having an individual menu for each person, we just staggered a few. So we had two long tables. So maybe there were like, every 2 or every maybe 3. I don't know how do we think of doing that? I have to see how many I purchased, but I feel like it might have been 4 on each side. So that way people can kind of like just see. They were presented and kind of a part of the decor. They were cute. They were pretty. So they were just there and people could see. I originally wanted them to stand up and kind of have a glass picture frame. I've seen that before where it's in the frame, but I was too last minute. So don't be like me. If you really like something, do it. Don't think you're going to be able to do it later, because later doesn't happen for me. So that's an idea, spreading out your menu cards instead of having one. Less paper is more. And then flowers are not mandatory. We talked about this. Well, Jamela, she got married in Montego Bay, and we were just kind of going back and forth. And, nowadays with all the artificial flowers, decor could be a whole episode in itself, but flowers, we did have flowers, but I've seen so many other things, even if you just did just greenery, which actually a lot of times can be more expensive, if not as expensive as flowers, or, mirrors, or you see all types of glass, or you see just plain photos or candles. Like, you can really play around and do all types of things. So I've seen books. Now, if you're outdoors, I don't know how much a book could be, but you can play around with it. And it doesn't have to be like, if you don't want this robust floral budget, then consider mixing it and playing around with different things. So when you're hosting, I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, when you're hosting, there are things that the idea is for your guests to be happy, right? The idea is for your guests to have a great time. You want to have a great time. And I'm actually specifically wearing, I love this shirt, the Destination Weddings Are Selfish shirt. And I'm wearing that because people say that they're selfish. And the whole point is everything is selfish. If you're ever celebrating yourself in any way, be it a baby shower or a graduation or a new job or a birthday or anything, then those are considered selfish. But the reality is you want to make sure that your loved ones who are there for you and being there to celebrate are taken care of. So ways and things that guests like and can appreciate, just think about, you can really personalize this and play around with it. Everybody doesn't have to have the exact same favor necessarily. If you know that someone likes one thing or like someone likes another or doesn't like something, then take the time to kind of change that up. Or you want to have a favor of some sort. Now, the favor does not have to be something that's not really useful. Your favor can be dual. Like it could be a super useful thing that you need for your reception, but then something that guests can take as well. Now, in my case, I love my napkins, and that could have been a great favor. And I totally missed the mark on that because I was in love with them. I didn't think anybody would want them, and I just wasn't prepared to allow that to happen. So now I've got a whole suitcase. That's a duffel bag full of napkins. But what we did do is our place settings were little marble octagons, and they had each guest's first name written in like in a little calligraphy. So we did the signage with their last names, and then once they got to the table, each little piece, each setting had their name on it. And they could keep it. Like, what are we gonna do with that? So they kept it. And it's funny because we go to their houses now and they've like just got them in different places, or like it's a paperweight on an office, or, just a little extra piece of decor that they have on their shelves. So you can still do something that is something that you clearly need, because you need to have some form of a place seating if you're gonna seat your guests, like assigned seating. You need something, so make it something fun. That way it's something that you already got to do, and then it could end up being cheaper in the long run. So the same thing goes for, I've seen it with a shot glass. You can do like personalized shot glasses and then put that there. I've seen, did I write anything else? No, but personalized place settings can definitely be something for both of those. The idea of little candies and stuff, that can work out. Just stay away. If you're getting married outdoors, just be aware of the weather. You don't want to give people small chocolates in the middle of the summer. You just don't want to do that in general. That's not going to work out. It could be in the cutest box ever, or some little gummy bears, but they're going to melt, and then no one's going to like that or want that necessarily. So yeah, another part of hosting, just a part of making sure that your guests feel very taken care of. Of course, you're welcoming them, right? So make sure that you take time to thank your guests. You may want, like we specifically did not have speeches. No one spoke at our wedding outside of us. We made that decision. We just said, hey, we're not going to do that. We ended up doing them the night before. The night before, we had a whole dinner with everyone, and then we let people speak. But actually at our wedding day, we just didn't want that. But we did take the time right before opening the dance floor to get up and just thank your guests. Maybe for us, like we did a cheers to them, or, something making them just feel very welcome. But also taking the time to make sure that they're okay. Like, make sure that you walk around and you see them. And I wish I would have done that more. I definitely walked around, but I feel like I only walked around maybe once. How many times am I supposed to walk around? I guess now I think about it. Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like Che was up way more than I was. I also had on a very tight dress that I had to get up and down a lot. And so once I was up, I was pretty much up. But yes, so, and then just an extra little oomph is, you see that, you're going to have to ask people like chicken or fish, or what are they going to eat? But make sure that you also ask if they have allergies. Are there any food allergies? Are there any requests? Because that's an extra step forward, right? If someone's a vegetarian, then that's one thing. But if someone has a food allergy, like for us, we had 2 guests with shellfish allergies and we had steak and lobster. So clearly that wasn't an option, but you don't want to just have them have less. So now they're looking at their plate with just steak on it. We ended up just kind of creating something different for them. So making sure that they still were fully taken care of and weren't left out of the whole thing. So for them, they had, I think, maybe chicken and steak or something else. And then if you do have vegetarian guests, and I'm actually moving into food clearly at this point, it's all going together. But with your dang it, why did I say that and stop myself? What was I saying, y'all? Food. I'm clearly highly if you have food allergies. If you do have vegetarians, don't do them dirty either, right? Make sure that the meal is still a great vegetarian meal. If you're offering great meals to all of your guests, if that's a thing that you want to do, make sure that everyone gets that no matter what their dietary needs are. It doesn't take that much. It's not that hard. If it does cost a little bit more money in the grand scheme of things, you're hosting, you're asking these people to come and celebrate and be there and to really be in the moment with you. So be in the moment and make sure they're as comfortable and taken care of as possible. And they will appreciate that and remember that. Like we've got, people who still come and they're really happy. Like, man, it really, really touched me to let me know that you knew that we had a shellfish allergy or whatever. Like just making sure that you are taking care of them. And the same thing, I guess, will go opposite. If you're a vegetarian, then you can do this a couple of different ways, right? Because you can possibly have this amazing vegetarian experience. Just think about your guests and know your guests and kind of just play around with that. Do you want to force people to eat the way that you eat necessarily? I don't know. Like, I don't really know. So I think you should really think about that and figure out how can you make sure that your guests are taken care of. Now, if your guests, your guests, and if your guests will really appreciate something like that, and not all of them, right? But if you know that the majority of them will enjoy that, then go that way. And then when it comes to food as well, I feel like going local is a great idea. So think about figuring out how you can infuse wherever you are getting married into your menu, and also into your drinks. Like just try to figure out how you can do that. I think Candace might have talked about that too. Candace Coppola, she was talking about that too. We personally, our entree was the only thing that was not Mexico, if that makes sense. We did have surf and turf options, but our appetizers, all of our canapes ahead of time, the happy hour, all that, the happy hour food and all of that was very Mexico. And then our dessert was milhojas, and that's a zillion layered puff pastry cake, very Mexico, like just still trying to infuse it and do what you can do with this. So just staying on theme. And that goes with anything, right? Like if you're gonna throw a Super Bowl party, you're not gonna do that with something that's not like, I don't know that sushi is gonna go as well, like sushi only. You kind of gotta have some crap there, right? You gotta have some, I want a chili cheese dog, or I want some wings, and I want some of everything that I can't eat right now, but I want that. Like you want that kind of thing. So just thinking about, you're bringing your guests, you want them to have this experience. So what can you do and what can you introduce them to? So yes, that is that for food. We did have a midnight meal. So considering what your timetable is, I think that it makes a lot of sense to possibly have a midnight meal. Now, midnight meal is not mandatory, especially if, well, you're not going to be married at midnight. You don't have people out there that much. And if you're on an all-inclusive resort, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you want to keep the party going, then a midnight meal needs to happen because you got to kind of sober these people up. Like that's what it's for. You got to kind of keep them engaged. That dinner was over at 9. They're drinking. You want to make sure that you're going to put something else into their bellies. So I like I've seen the taco bars. I've seen the little, of course I want to say tacos because I love tacos. Even like a little snack. I've seen popcorn. I've seen little bitty hot dogs. I've seen all type pizza. Pizza's a big thing. All that kind of stuff. We did jerk chicken. We ended up finding a company, which is so funny to be able to have jerk chicken in Mexico, but there's a place who did it. We ended up having them come. It's called Farron's Chicken, and they were absolutely amazing. They had never done a wedding before, and since then they've been doing them, and it's so great. But we surprised our guests with that. So that's another part of the hosting, like figuring out how you can surprise your guests. So either surprise them by just being nice or giving them a little shout out or something. The other thing that I think is a really, really good idea for hosting to like add a personal touch is for Appy Couple, the website that we use, you could ask people if they had any requests. So like if they had any music requests or anything like that, giving them an option. And we even do that for our Christmas party. We do an annual Christmas party. And in the invitation, it says like, do you have any requests? And sometimes usually we honor the request, but sometimes people be tripping and you ain't getting that. And then we're going to call you out at the party and tell you you're not getting that. But that's something personal too, because that's the whole thing. Like it's the idea of having fun and just shining the light on someone. So if y'all are dancing and it's time to be partying and their jam comes on, like that's everything to someone, right? So thinking about your guest list is important. Now, as far as drinks go, y'all know I love me some drinks. So let me go ahead. It's only right to sip while I talk about this. So I am team open bar all day. If it's really difficult not to do open bar if you're staying at an all-inclusive. That's assuming that you're going to be at an all-inclusive though. Like I said, we got married off the resort, but open bar, like the cash bar situation, cut your budget somewhere else. Cut your budget on the food. Seriously, cut it, but don't cut the bar. Especially if you're planning a destination wedding specifically, you don't want to like stifle that. Like the one thing if your guests are coming is they want to be able to have a good time. If they drink, everybody doesn't drink, right? We paid for a couple of guests because you got to kind of pay for everybody. You can't say, oh, I got 3 people who don't drink. So I'm not, the idea is you got to pay for everybody. But you'd rather overcompensate than be missing the mark in that space. So the idea of a cash bar at a destination wedding, don't do that. And you sitting here talking to me and watching me, don't do me like that. You didn't get that from me. So don't do that, please. No, I was about to say no open bars, but open bars only. Open bars only. Keon. No. And consider, signature drinks. Signature drinks are a thing. They don't have to happen, but the idea of just having something, and even if you just can talk to the bartenders or, talk to your coordinator and ask them what you can choose the drink and it can have a certain name because it may be like a Mai Tai or something like that. But you can then just change the name of it. It could be whatever it is, but then you decide to make it like first, like we had like a Chomi punch or something like that. You can do, and that's Che and Omi, Chomi. I don't know if you knew that. But whatever, come up with something cute or whatever your hashtag is or something like that. And it doesn't have to be like, you can be very creative. I'm always making, like for our parties, making a drink. I love to make a random cocktail. I've actually played with the idea of adding recipes to the blog of just things because I drink and I just love playing around like that. But no matter what your drink is, you can still just name it something cute and it won't even matter. People be like, oh, this tastes like a margarita. It is, but it's this, you're gonna call it whatever you want to do. Loving beach better have my money, or my honey, beach better have my honey, or something like that. You can call it whatever you want to call it, because just have fun with that. Does that mean that everybody's going to drink that only? No, they'll probably start with that and then they'll go to where they're going to go. Understanding the bar, understanding what your guests like, and it depends on how big your wedding is, right? If your wedding is massive, then it's going to be hard to accommodate everyone. But you're inviting your friends, you're inviting your family. You know what your uncle and your daddy and your cousin, you know what your besties drink. So you want to make sure that you have those things for them. Even if you have to like outsource or try to figure out how to get the bottle to them, that again is something special, like doing something fun for them. Now, on the resort, something that's like may not be well known is that you can still request to meet the chef or meet the bartender. You can do that ahead of time. And am I going to say that that's blanket everywhere? I can't speak for every single resort, but it can't hurt to ask your coordinator and go, hey, can I, like, who's so-and-so? Now, more than likely your bartender is going to be someone who's on the resort anyway. So if you meet them ahead of time, you can kind of like get friendly with them and have a good time, you know, during the day, just in general. So once it's wedding time, then they're really going to take care of you and your guests, you know. So same thing goes for the chef, like just to talk to them, to meet them. They love to actually meet people because they don't, no one ever really cares to know who they are. So taking that time could really amp up your menu without, when your full experience, without even paying anything. Just being nice, just wanting to create that and have that personal touch really goes a long way. So try it. It doesn't cost anything extra to just try to be nice to someone. Oh, that was Aisha. Aisha said that. Aisha Doherty. Anyway, yeah, she's on episode something too. I'm working on a list so I can just have an ongoing list. I'm always naming episodes and have no idea where they sit exactly. So I have to work on that. So yes, that's food, that's drinks. Take care of who you can, who will be on staff. And then that goes for staff in general. And then after, now this, I'm not going to jump too far, but afterwards, make sure that you're, you know, paying attention. And the idea is to enjoy your wedding, right? So taking a ton of notes may not really happen, but try to remember people, or if they see you later, like, oh, well, thank you for this and thank you for that, or, all that kind of stuff. So I remember when we were doing our tasting at Blue Venato, I ended up, just being nice to one of the servers because I'm just friendly and whatever anyway. And then the whole time at the wedding, he took such great care of me. Like, he was all over it. Now, is that normal? He may always do that. I don't know. Maybe how great he was, but it felt extra. So just in case, I don't know. Now, with seating, this is something that I will share screenshots as well of. I had the question as to how did we do our seating. Now, and that is one full thing. So because I'm gonna go monthly with this, it gives me the opportunity to deep dive better and to be able to do more than trying to squeeze everything into an hour, or in my case, hour and 20 as it tends to be. But there's a couple of tips that I want to give for seating. So I am a huge fan of the sweetheart table. I just really am. I feel like the idea of it just being like, you guys go through all of this to sit next to each other and you're with your partner and it's like, yay, we're married, and we had to deal with figuring out how to plan this reception and the ceremony and the travel and the guests and all of these things and this and that. And you finally can just come together and have this moment where you're sitting on the side. Like, there are these photos of us where you can just see us sitting, and this is us sitting apparently, but we're sitting and the guests are we're just looking at our guests. Like, we're just there to see our guests. And it felt good, and it was great to just be able to have that moment and have that space. Now, people would come, you know, they come by and give us our hugs or a little card or, you know, talk to us. And this is just during the time before dancing. Once dancing hits, then everybody's up anyway. But it's just a small bit of time to really just have that spotlight a little more, because really you don't get that many opportunities to have it either, honestly. So you may think you don't really want it or need it, but it ends up really working out. And I've recommended it, and I've heard nothing but great things to people who have done it. So I really, really love the Sweetheart Table. However it looks, just something a little further away. You're not that far removed from your guests. You're not like, you know, you're at a wedding. Y'all are all in the same country together. Like, it's not a crazy, oh, I'm just higher than or better. It's your wedding. Like, that's just the reality of it. And yes, so that's my vote. And I love the idea, and I've seen it and I've done it, of having, just putting your seating chart on. I love the spreadsheet personally. Now, we also did do long rectangular tables, but there's so many different ways to play around with it. And because my mind works the way it does with spreadsheets, I have created a couple of little templates to show you how I did it. So I will do that. And when you're dealing with your seating chart, this is where it comes to the guests. You may catch some requests of people like, don't sit me next to so-and-so, or can you sit me next to this person, all of these things. So one, don't even think about your seating chart until all money is paid by all guests. Now let me not say that. You can think about it, but don't start really working very hard on it until that happens, because that's when it really hurts more. If something happens and a guest does not come, and you work this hard and you got your table just right, and they take that number away and totally mess up everything, it hit a little different. So wait on that, and make sure that you know how many and who's what. Now, keep tabs on what. If your stepmom and your mom don't get along, then you're going to want them to be on separate spaces maybe. Or I mean, that's like get along, like they can't be near each other. Or there may be times when you have to like group people according to interest and have some fun with it. Like, if you know these people don't know these people, but you think that like if it was a whole party that you ever had, you would definitely, like if you all lived in the same city, you would hook them up to kind of, not hook them up, like hook them up, but hook them up, you know, like, you know, I really think that Charles would love John. Like, I really, really think that would, you know, in general, they just vibe nicely. So you're going to put them together, and then it could be nice. Now, it's the same way. If you think that Charles and John would not get along and they're so different, then you might not want to set them up for that. So, because the idea is also you're thinking about your guests. So don't sit exes next to each other. Don't do that kind of stuff. Yes, you'll want to go, oh, it's about me, and they should be able to put aside why do you care about them sitting next to each other? They don't want to sit next to each other. Don't put them next to each other, because then if something happens, you're going to be mad at them when really you got to be mad at yourself. This is your party. This is your control. So, and your PARTAY is how I said that before too. So yes, I think, so yeah, I'll download the spreadsheet. I did the budget spreadsheet, and I heard that a lot of people don't have that. So I will actually post a post. I will actually, post a post. I will post it. I will actually post it into the group for you guys to be able to see it. And then I'll share the rest of them too. I had one massive spreadsheet that had tabs with everything. So as I share these spreadsheets with you, you guys can just save them all into one big wedding workbook is what it would be, if that's what you wanted to do. Now, part of what went wrong, and then drama-wise, I will be honest, specifically when we're talking about seating, I had an issue where I sat people, you know how your seating is. And we sat there and I looked and somebody was supposed to be way over there and they were right here. And the person I wanted right here was way over there. So someone actually went to the tables and swapped seats. Totally pissed me off. Now, had a whole moment. Che ended up having to bring me down and bring me together and then just be like, deal with that later. He didn't say deal with that later. He just said, it's not about that. Hey, it's about this. So I had to get my mind right. But being aware, this works like being aware of guests and knowing who people are and knowing that no matter at this point, you're going to do as much preparation as you can, including watching this video and talking to me and talking to who you need to and doing your research so that by the time you get to your reception, if something happens, then you got to just be like, well, I tried it and it could have been worse because you prepare for so many things. You can't prepare for everything and you can't control people either. So in that case, it happened. And then afterwards I had to ask some questions and go, who did that? And then let them know later. But I had my honeymoon. I got back home. I enjoyed married life for a while. And then there had to be a conversation. Like, what's going on? What are you doing? So we did that. And also the idea of like, don't sit me next to so-and-so. You're not a punk, right? So nobody's punks. I like to say I'm not a punk. Nobody's the boss of me. But you also want to honor things. But if people have drama, you kind of have to toe this line of what's really important to you and what's not. So, like, look, I'll see what I can do, but get your life together and keep it together. Like, whatever. This isn't your thing. So you got to remember that too. I had the lighting thing that I told you guys about. So the idea that we thought we were saving money by choosing a cheaper lighting vendor or rental company, and they don't hang them. So we ended up, the ending of that is the person who had the more expensive lights, we ended up having to pay him to hang the cheaper lights. Ended up paying more in the end. It was very, very, very stupid, but I learned so that you guys don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. So I'm okay with that. And I talked about the Black Dusty blog, but I did have the extremely ridiculously drunk guest that created a bit of a scene. So that happens too. I've heard of this. I've seen it. You see it on television. You may not think it's going to happen to you, but it's possible. So do what you can do there's nothing you really can do about it. Give them a disclaimer, have them watch this video, and then they may see it and this message is for you. Don't do that in advance, just in case. I'm telling you now, warning you. No. But yeah, all in all, the drama really wasn't a big deal. Like, none of it mattered. The photos were amazing. The experience was awesome. And we had a really, really great time. So it didn't matter. Like, nothing happened that I was about to say that shouldn't have, but that doesn't even make sense. So yeah, nothing crazy, nothing wild happened. Now, as far as entertainment goes, and I'm gonna wrap up in a little minute. I've actually been answering questions as I'm going too, which is good. But as far as entertainment goes, there's a couple of things. Now, we'll talk about music. So with your DJ, there have been things where the idea of flying in your entertainment has happened. Like, you really love a DJ that's back at home and you want to bring them with you. And I'm a fan of, if you're going to hire specifically a DJ, like specifically for that or entertainment, try to go local. And hear me out. You may love whoever DJ Paul is or whatever, but unless DJ Paul has actually performed or done, we'll say performed. DJ Paul, that's funny. I would choose that. But unless DJ Paul has performed at the venue that you're going to be, then you're kind of setting them up for something that's going to be crazy. One, flying a DJ, and I'm saying this because I have actually dealt specifically, it's actually 2 people who've done it, but one, flying in a DJ is just expensive. It's extremely expensive because they have so much equipment, right? They need this equipment and it has to get there somehow. So it's up to you to pay for the shipping, or not even shipping, but pay for them to travel with their stuff. Like, there are DJs wherever you're getting married, I can promise you, that can just play some music. Like, I hear you, and it could be a thing, but that's a headache that I just really want you to think about. Really, really think about the money with it. But even past that, if they do get their stuff there, in this specific case, this couple hired their DJ. They love this DJ. They brought the DJ in, and the DJ went to set up, and there was a problem with the equipment. And this is not a local DJ. They can't just run. They don't know where to go. So what's going to happen? Now, if they would have hired someone that was local, then they know where they are. They can go run to the truck real quick, or run to the office, or handle somewhere. They know where to go get things. And that's like the idea for entertainment specifically. You're already at another destination, so try to embrace that and go that route with it. So I just wanted to give that disclaimer. Now, if you don't want to take the DJ route, that you do have the options of possibly coming and bringing, like, if you want to bring a piece of like a large speaker or something like that, and then playing, putting together a playlist and then having that play. I've heard it. I've never been to a wedding that's done it, but I've heard of it, so it clearly happens. And the only thing I would say with that is just making sure that it's not bootleg. Just making sure it's not bootleg, because I've been to people's house parties where the speaker situation isn't right, and you can't hear, or you got to be right next to the speaker, or you got to understand where you're actually getting married, and will this music be able to carry over for people to really be able to have a good time and really jam, like, if that's what you want. So I think that there's anything to hire, and if music is important to you, right? Everybody's got their different things, but the music can really make or break if you want that party part. If you want people to really be able to dance, it's really hard to dance if you can't hear the music, or it's really hard to dance if you can't hear the music. If you're not feeling the music, people kind of got to feel it, right? Now, and then, as far as entertainment goes, there's a lot of options depending on where you are. So thinking of something that's actually local to your destination, I think could be a great experience for people. So just making sure that it makes sense at the same time too. I remember we were in Mexico, and I wanted a bonfire. Now, we got married in May, Memorial Day weekend in Mexico, and I wanted a bonfire. Luckily for me, I have a husband who said, "Are you crazy? Like, no, we're not doing that. It's already hot, and this doesn't make sense. Like, bonfires are not for the summer in the middle of the winter. The summer in the middle of the winter. In the middle of Mexico. Like, don't do that." So just make sure, you may have these ideas of things, but at the same time, you can do what you're going to want to do, anything, but just thinking about it and just being realistic is just really important. So I think that, so that's my entertainment spiel, DJ. So with the vendors, kind of moving into that, I talked about knowing what the vendors do. So when it comes to, say, like your the lighting or anything like that, but knowing your photographers, knowing their timing, what they really want to do, how long they'll be there, and making sure that you're feeding these people, right? When you have these vendors, you are in charge of feeding them. Now, you can give them a vendor meal, which tends to be like a lower tier of something else, or you could actually just give is one additional thing. You paying for people I'm not going to say that. Yeah, it's possible that you're paying for people that you don't even really want there or really like that anyway. You may as well just pay for your vendors who are taking care of you, like give them an actual great meal. And then that means they're taking the time though, right? So they tend to kind of eat. I didn't even see our photographers eat, but they'll eat where it makes sense. They're not going to eat during your first dance or something. Like, that's a terrible thing to do. Same thing with the DJs. You're feeding them, like you have these people there. So knowing and adding that into your budget is important. Sometimes it tends to be in the contract where they'll say, you know, you're responsible for this, or whatever. So I say feed them. I say dance with them too. I have photos like of me dancing with our photographer. Like, it's fun. Like, have a good time. They end up staying a little bit too, or just, you know, making it a full experience. Being nice, again, is totally free. Tip them, make sure that you're tipping them. And when it comes to specifically the DJ, Che was 100% in charge of 99.999% in charge of music. So what he did was he created a playlist, because that's the thing. A lot of people are like fearful, and especially for us, like Black people will be like, I don't want to just trust my music to anybody. They ain't gonna play the right music for me. They don't know what I like. They don't know what we want. I'm from the South. I'm from the North, or whatever. And what we did was created a full playlist, and our DJ and sent like it's hours and hours of music that we love, and sent it to the DJ. And the DJ was then able to mix it and do what they wanted to do, like to make it a full experience. It wasn't like they were just playing songs in order. They were able to do their thing. And then he infused a couple of songs too that was kind of funny, taking requests as well. But we had the full experience. You know, we had all types of music there, and we didn't have to bring someone from home to make that happen. Just make sure you're choosing the right DJ that is open to that. If your DJ is like, I play what I play, then nobody likes that DJ anyway. Like, you've been out and that DJ is just jamming so hard to something, and it's like, read the room. No one wants to hear that. Boo, boo, boo. No one wants to hear this song, and the DJ is terrible. So don't hire a terrible DJ. They exist everywhere, I'm sure, but there are DJs. And if you're specifically getting married in the Riviera Maya, Mexico area, let me know and I'll point you in the right direction, at least for where we went. But yes, don't be fearful that you can't get the music you want, because they're not just going to say what genre. If they really care, like we had actual Skype calls with our DJ twice, the team, to really make sure that they knew, you know, got a vibe for us. We sent what we really like, got a good feel for that. And then we also finally sent our song requests. And Che did want me to tell you guys, there's one tip he had, which is if you want unedited versions of music, make sure that you request that, because if you don't, they will default to edited. And we had backed that ass up, and that was edited. And that is not, it doesn't even make sense. Back that ass up, edited is not a song. I don't even think I had heard it before. No, I'm sure I did. But stuff like that. So if, you know, and they default, it makes sense. He was explaining, because I don't understand why they would default to that. I didn't. But, you know, if you got kids or something like that. So just be aware of that fact. If you want unedited or if you want edited, either way, I would say make sure that you talk to your DJ and say, hey, you know, this is a PG situation, PG-13. We don't want to hear that. Or, you know, this song we want all of the X's and all of that kind of stuff. So just, you know, being aware of that is super important. And that is all that I actually have. I did receive a question, and I received this question from Nancy, and we talked about it this week on a coaching call, but I felt like it was really important to talk to you guys about it because it's very much timely as to what's going on with COVID. So her question surrounded increased vendor fees, and the idea was that the resort that she was wanting to be at is now, because of what's going on, they have raised their vendor fees an additional, I think it was like $250 or something like that. They're at $1,000 per vendor. And what happens with that? And there's a lot. So what that means is you're to pay your vendor. And if you want that vendor to come to your resort, then you need to pay the resort $1,000 for that. So there's ways of working around this and playing with it. So for one, if anybody else is going through this, please reach out, let me know. I'd love to talk to you, get some understanding as to what resorts are doing this exactly. But this is what, I had a couple of different points for this. So first of all, if you've already signed a contract for a specific amount, then you're more than likely going to be able to keep that amount. Like that's the amount. And if you received a quote and you have not signed a contract, most places, it's kind of in good practice to still honor the old pricing. I haven't heard or felt ever too much pushback in that space. And considering COVID right now, what was going on, it's understandable that, you know, everybody's hurting. So maybe these resorts are hurting and they just want to try to make some more money. But that increase needs to happen with new people who are the new quotes. Your quote was your quote. So pushing through and getting in that way, like just being like, you know, the expectation is to honor what was originally agreed to. And then the question is surrounding, now, if you have a travel professional that's helping you, then that is where they can really, really come in handy, because it's a whole thing where it's like, look, one, if you're breaching the contract, then that means that we can just go somewhere else that has cheaper ones. Like we can just do that then. Cheaper ones is in cheaper vendor fees. But just someone there to advocate for you who has a relationship with the resort would really, really be in your favor at this point, because they can just go, hey, do you want this wedding? Like, do you want this whole party right now? If you want this whole party, this extra increase that you're trying to make money on, you want this little couple $100s, or do you want these thousands of dollars that are going to come to you? So just understand that you do have some bargaining power right now. So don't just let anything happen. They may try something, but that doesn't mean that that's the answer. So don't freak out about it. Don't get emotional about it. This is all like a business transaction. So go, okay, we'll know. Now, when it comes to vendor fees, understand what constitutes a vendor. So in this case specifically, and I talked to Nancy, she's fine with me sharing this information because it will help you guys too, but she wants to bring her photographer, bring her makeup artist, and was thinking about the DJ thing, but that's not happening. So the idea is that bringing a DJ on. So you're bringing a DJ from local, but you're flying in your photographer and your makeup artist. Now, if you do that, those are guests at that resort. So the idea of having to pay a vendor fee for a guest is not a thing. So just hear me with that. If you bring a vendor and they are a guest at the resort, that is not an outside vendor in any capacity at all. In actuality, what it is you are helping the resort out, because you're now paying for meals that they would have to pay for, if that makes sense. So I say that because the photographer, for example, if the photographer was just a normal guest that had already prepaid for an all-inclusive package, then that means they paid for their dinner, they've paid for all their drinks, all of that kind of stuff. So if they weren't attending your wedding, they would be out in the resort drinking up the liquor and eating instead of being at your event. So really, they're not a problem, if that makes sense. You're not using their vendor, but you're using but it's a guest who's just doing something. Now, you still do want to understand that, like, when you're bringing your outside vendor, if your outside vendor is not on the preferred list, that's where the outside vendor fee comes in. There's reasons behind it. I've talked to plenty of people, and they're trying to wrap my mind around it and really have a full understanding of it, because you hear different things. But the overall consensus is that the outside vendors, one, the resorts are getting kickbacks from them. They're on that list. Their pricing can be higher because, quite frankly, it's inflated because the resort is going to take a percentage of it. That's just the reality. That's one thing that's across the board, is understood. So and then the other thing is that these are also insured, like, I don't know why I air quoted just now. They are insured people. So that just means that if anything were to go wrong with the resort or with this vendor, it's that resort, like the resort has a relationship with them, so they can trust them and figure out what's what. Whereas if it's someone on the outside, then that doesn't happen necessarily. I've heard about the couple who really, really, really wanted this DJ that no one knew, and the resort was saying no to it, and they finally made a concession and let them come. And then when they came, they did like $30,000 or $50,000 in damage to the roof. and then they had a card and they said we're insured beforehand, but then it turned out that their insurance had lapsed. So now the resort is looking crazy, and they were trying to like do a favor to the bride or whatever, you know, to the pro to let this happen. And now that DJ doesn't want to pay. It's for them to pay, but they don't want to pay. So now as the couple, you've paid the DJ, you've paid the resort. At the end, you're always like at the end of your final bill, you're always expecting a refund of some sort, like to get your credits back from everything. It's always you've paid up something. So you usually can get your credits or your money back from something from all the holds that happen. And at this specific time, the resort's holding that. Like, you need to talk to your vendor that you wanted to have, because now who's going to pay for this? We're not paying for this. So I'm just saying that to say that it's not total madness, these vendor fees, because they do take on a lot of liability and they have a lot to lose by letting strangers in. But at the same time, it still needs to be fair and make sense. A lot of times it's kind of like, yeah, we get it. But at the same time, does that mean you have to bang me over the head for it and really do me totally dirty because you really just want to push me into using your vendors? So, you know, it's like the obvious thing would be like, oh, we'll just open it up and kind of vet better. So, but that's not a thing. So that's just I wanted to just give you a better understanding of how vendor fees work and what's like the pros and the cons of them and kind of both sides of it. But right now with what's going on with COVID, there's all types of things these resorts are kind of doing or thinking about and playing around with. So look at your reviews, like get on TripAdvisor. And well, now it doesn't matter. Nobody's going anywhere. But make sure that you're just aware of what's going on and to try to just have less surprises, if that makes sense. So that's that. Now, yeah, but just because your resort says something, if anybody tries to change anything that they've told you, if you have it in writing, and this is the paralegal in me coming out, if you have it in writing, then good luck to them for that, because yeah, no. But again, if you have a travel pro, then you're kind of good. So I know one. Her name is Sarah. She's great. No, a couple. I'm going to meet a couple others. But either way, that's my spiel on that one. Does anybody have any questions? You guys are quiet today. It's because it's gloomy out there. Is it? It's probably gloomy everywhere. I feel like I've been seeing that. So yes. So again, I am going to not do Destihour tomorrow. Next week, it'll start and it will be every first Thursday. So I'll go through and change the language so that you guys know. I will send the invitations in advance. I started doing email reminders as well, and I saw some of you guys have received those and went through that. So again, I'm learning this with the glitches in the emails. So everything seemed to work well. If there's ever a problem, please let me know. I'm trying, I'm learning. But yes, so that is that. I hope that was helpful. As usual, if you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you guys. I'll probably still pop in, but the actual Destihour will be the first Thursday of August. So yes, so thank you. Keon, is that you? Yes, you're still here. You're so funny. Well, thank you. What are you doing this weekend?
Nothing. Just running around as usual.
Running for mom?
Yeah, just the regular weekend stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Well, yes. Stay safe. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me, y'all too. I just can't see who's who, so yeah, I'll come up with the topic and all that good stuff. But thanks. Let me know.
This was good. Yeah. I definitely look forward to the Destihours. But I'm excited about season 3 starting, because I was always scrolling through. Nothing's there.
Refresh. I know.
It's always good to hear all these ladies. Man, they have so many good stories.
Yeah, I've got some good ones too. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, so thank you. So yeah, I'm gonna pull back so that I can get that going. So it's coming. It's coming, and it's got to be right. So
Right.
well, yeah.
Good for you. Go ahead. You better do it.
Good for us.
Hey.
Yeah, so thank you. I appreciate your support always.
No problem. Well, I will be around. I'll pop in whenever you pop in, and I'll wait for season 3.
When's your birthday?
January 24th.
Is that a Capricorn? No.
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay.
Yeah.
You said 20 what?
24.
Okay. Just curious. All right. I'm a Taurus, just in case.
Oh, you know, my friend in high school was a Taurus. Is a Taurus.
She was.
She's October 27th.
No. She's
Isn't
not a
that
Taurus.
What's that?
That
Scorpio?
might-
I don't know.
Yeah, she might be a Scorpio actually. I know early November is a Scorpio, so.
Oh,
yeah.
so it might be Scorpio then. I don't know these things.
Yeah.
I also have to say, I love Sparky. I haven't seen him make an appearance in a minute.
Sparky! Oh.
I knew a Sparky back in the day, and I called him Sparkplug.
He can't get it. He's trying to figure out how to get here. He got a haircut today.
Oh my
Looks like
gosh,
crap.
he's so
I didn't.
cute. Hey,
hi.
Sparky.
Say hi. Say
How
hello.
old is he?
He's 8.
Wow, he's so cute.
He's supposed to look that way. He want to go outside.
Oh.
Say hello. Yeah, I have been the worst at grooming this dog, and he's high maintenance, so he had to get a super cut, so he's not the happiest about it.
I've considered getting a dog. It's just too much work.
It's a lot of work. If you
So
did
lazy.
ever get a dog, do not get a dog in the winter. Don't get a dog in the winter, just so y'all know. Get a dog in spring so that when it's time for actually potty training, you are not miserable. Going out in the winter, you have no patience. It's no fun. Poor dog.
That makes sense.
Don't do it. That's the only thing I say. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
she's Sparky. That's my baby. Well, thank you.
Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you. And bye, y'all.
Bye.